Hi, I'm Dan Francis, co-owner and industrial designer here at MSB Technology. And today we'll be shooting an unboxing video of the Sentinel DAC. This video is intended for dealers, installers, or end customers. We highly encourage you to watch the video from start to finish if you have purchased the Sentinel DAC and will be setting it up. If you have an installer setting it up for you, please provide them with this video so that they can know all the details required for a safe and careful setup. The Sentinel DAC will arrive in 4 CNC plywood cartons. These will be wrapped and stacked on a pallet for protection so that they arrive at the dealership and are able to be delivered in a nice, clean fashion. We recommend that you depalletize the Sentinel DAC before delivering the boxes into the home. Each of these boxes can be quite heavy. They will require at least 2 people for carrying, as some of them are over 100 pounds in weight. The tools required for unboxing the Sentinel DAC are a number 2 Phillips screwdriver. For ease, you can use an impact driver or electric screwdriver to make things quicker. All right, to get started, we're going to take the covers off both the digital director and the accessory box. On the digital director and accessory boxes, we're going to be removing the small wood screws out of the top cover. These will be along the top edge on both the outside and top surfaces. This will allow just the top cover to come off. Don't take any screws from below the top cover, like such or below. We're only removing the top cover. After the cover screws are removed, you can now remove the cover from the crate. Under each cover will be a layer of foam. Simply remove this. Here is the accessory box. At the top here, you'll have 3 separate power cables. One for the right mono DAC, one for the left mono DAC, and one for the clock power. In this section here, we'll have the fiber cables. If you have the Pro USB option, you'll have 3 fiber cables here. One fiber cable for the Pro USB, one fiber cable for the right mono DAC, and then one fiber cable for the left mono DAC. We'll also have the user guide for the Sentinel DAC. Here we'll have the warranty card, including the product serial number and a registration QR code. We'll have the MSB remote, and then we'll have some miscellaneous cables here, including 2 IEC cables and the micro USB charging cable for the MSB remote. Along the center, we'll have 12 foot pucks. These are for installation underneath the Sentinel DAC. Lastly, you'll see 2 pairs of white gloves. In the Sentinel accessory box, you'll find 2 sets of white gloves. We recommend at least 2 people for setup, and each person should be wearing the gloves when handling the Sentinel DAC. It's easy to leave fingerprints on the Sentinel DAC chassis, and with time and heat, that can leave a permanent impression on the finish. So now the first unit to be removed will be the digital director. The digital director arrives in a plastic bag for protection and to keep the unit clean during shipping. I recommend using a soft pad or the foam insert provided with the Sentinel DAC for unbagging the Sentinel digital director. To remove the Sentinel digital director, there are hand holds on each side of the unit. Place the unit on its faceplate and slide the bag down the chassis. Then place it on its jack panel and remove the plastic bag. The Sentinel digital director is now ready to place on your rack. After the chassis are placed on the rack, you can slide the foot pucks under each foot. Using 2 people will make this an easier process. Now that the digital director is placed, we're going to get a little bit of extra help handling the analog converter and power base. Each of those units is about 100 pounds each and is quite difficult to insert into a rack like this without extra help. Please use at least 2 people and practice safe lifting principles. All right, I'm going to now remove the digital director box and accessory box so we can access the other 2 crates. To open the analog converter and power base crates, we're going to remove 4 screws on each crate. Those screws are located on the sides and say remove to open. There's 1, 2, and 3 and 4 on the other side. After the hardware is removed, with 2 people lifting from each end, you can remove the crate covers. We now have both the power base and analog converter visible. For the installer or someone who's not familiar with the product, an easy way to identify the power base versus the analog converter is the power base will have a power button on the front of the unit, and there will be no power button on the front of the analog converter. With the stock 32-inch power cables, the orientation of these units will need to be in a vertical stack configuration. We suggest the power base on the very bottom shelf, analog converter in the center, and the digital director on the top. The digital director has volume control and other menu buttons on the top surface, so it's good to leave this with open access. Alternate configurations of the power base and analog converter are available, but they will require different lengths and power cords. As discussed, the vertical orientation is the stock power cord. That will allow you to have the analog converter and power base on shelves at a maximum of 24 inches apart. If you need to have the shelves further apart than 24 inches, we have a 48-inch cable option, a 60-inch cable option, and a 72-inch cable option. If you want to have the units side by side, we recommend getting at least the 48-inch option. If you want to have the units with the power base on one side, digital director in the center, and the analog converter on the far side, so you have a symmetrical layout on 3 separate racks, we recommend having the 72-inch cable for that. There will be details on the support page that outline all the shelf distances and gear placement based on cable length. Please check out msptechnology.com and go to support for the Sentinel DAC. All right, it's now time to move these chassis into the rack. We're going to start by lining up the skid with the rack so that after the chassis is opened, we're able to move directly from the skid into the rack. All right, we're ready to work on the Sentinel power base. It will also be in a protective wrap to keep it clean and safe during shipping. Simply remove the tape along the top of the wrap, and it will now fold open. You will have access to both sides of the units to lift it off the skid and put it on the shelf. When inserting it into a closed rack like this, we recommend against putting your hand along the back edge of the unit. As you insert the unit, if your hand is on the back, it'll get caught. So instead, we keep our hands on the side of the unit, we slide it in until one foot is set, and then you can reach through and continue moving the unit back. You can also use sliders or pucks on those back feet and then slide the unit in on the rack and then remove them afterwards. Now with the power base installed, we'll get the analog converter. Remove the tape on the top of the unit to remove the wrap. All right, we'll now lift the analog converter onto the rack. Now that both the analog converter and power base are placed, we're going to slide a foot puck under each corner of the chassis. So while one person lifts, the other person can slide the pucks underneath. The Sentinel feet have a nice, soft Viton tip, and you do not have to worry about marking the pucks during this process. Simply, if they're not in alignment, lift slightly and move until centered and concentric. Again, adjust as needed. The Sentinel DAC is now unboxed, on the rack, and ready for setup. We will have a separate quick start guide for making the appropriate cable connections and the first power on of the Sentinel DAC. You'll find the quick start video on the Sentinel DAC support page if you visit msbtechnology.com. I hope this video was helpful, showing you how to unbox and handle the Sentinel DAC. This is a very special product to us, and we want to ensure each one is handled with care and respect and kept pristine for years to come.